were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective, I can tell you that.
Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
And to be clear, it doesn't really seem like there were serious war plans that were being discussed. And if you actually read the conversations, I will say this, silver lining, I'd like to have a beer with those guys. Let's go to the Trump administration and the big story right now. They're talking about it with Rogue on CNN. Okay, so for those of you who don't know this story, if you haven't been following it, it's not good. Okay, this doesn't reflect well upon this administration in the sense that someone needs to be fired. Hint, hint, Mike Waltz. He should be fired, right? We get it. But there are a lot of claims that are simply not true out there. There's a lot of misinformation surrounding the story. And so that's what happens. You take a kernel of truth on which we can all agree, okay, national security is important. We understand it. And then people start embellishing and adding lies to it when it's not really necessary. So we'll go through some of that. So hopefully you can make sense of it. Links in the description. As always, the references every single show. The Atlantic editor, I guess editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg. Not to be confused with Jonah Goldberg. A lot of people are getting that wrong. He released that he was, and by the way, this guy is garbage. So that is important. Just Jeffrey Goldberg is garbage to begin with.
Start there.
He didn't do anything necessarily wrong here. He was added to the Signal chat. But this is the guy who, if he had anything that was classified, he would have released it because he fabricated stories like losers and suckers. It only costs $60,000. It's too much to bury a Mexican. That came from this guy. Okay? So this is not the beacon of integrity that he wants you to believe. Jeffrey Goldberg told the public that he was added to a high-level government chat on Signal where they were sharing war plans.
Listen to this. The National Security Council is right now trying to figure out how a reporter from The Atlantic was added to a group chat discussing upcoming military strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. That's right. Atlantic reporter Jeffrey Goldberg says he was added to a small group on the messaging app Signal that included Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
She just repeated
Vice
herself
President
exactly.
J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, so quick timeline. They're on Signal. The people who were mentioned there, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz added Goldberg. All right. It was a group called the Houthi PC Small Group where they discussed the attack on the Houthis, and the United States bombed the Houthis. It worked anyway. So at the end of the day, there wasn't anything that was particularly, I should say, poignant as far as military secrets, because, of course, if this was leaked to a left-wing press, they often support our enemies and would likely give them a heads up, especially if it's Hinkle. It's not good, but I don't really know that there's a whole lot to come of this other than someone needs to be fired and people need to be careful. I also understand why they would move to Signal. Doesn't mean that it's right, but I can understand the logic. We'll get into that. President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, they both addressed the controversy yesterday with President Trump finding out seemingly live, and it's entertaining.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
How did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Right, Thank you.
And to be clear, it doesn't really seem like there were serious war plans that were being discussed. And if you actually read the conversations, I will say this, silver lining, I'd like to have a beer with those guys. They're pretty consistent. Yeah, they're tired of Europe. They don't like terrorists. There's nothing really damning in there.
Well,
what is damning is the act. What was that?
I wouldn't want to have a beer with Mike Waltz.
No, neither would I.
He'll invite all kinds of dorks.
Apparently, Donald Trump will. He's coming out and saying right now that he's not going to be fired and that this was just an accident. So
that's not ideal.
Not ideal.
But I also understand, look, to be clear, them going to Signal, I presidential records?
Yeah, record preservation across the government, basically, that you can't.
And I understand they have to go through specific sort of government applications, encrypted services. That being said, the first term of this administration had more leaks than any administration in our lifetime. And so if you're trying to drain the swamp and you don't know who's a friend amongst you, you discuss the official battle plans through the official channels that are required. And then you have the contextual conversation that you don't want these people reading because they're likely to leak it to the press, where, Pete Hegseth probably doesn't want the press knowing that he calls them a bunch of Eurofags. I like that he does. Doesn't make it right, but I can understand. I mean, we've had that here, right? We've had leaks online by accident, which is why we've moved to encrypted apps like Signal, just like this happened last week when we were planning lunch. To those on audio, that makes no sense. You should go and watch on Rumble Live. This is not just an audio podcast where we're talking to a microphone. There's a lot of spared no expense. So let's go through some claims and truths here just so we can clear some confusion up. Here's a claim that you will hear made across the media that top secret war plans were divulged.
Jeffrey Goldberg reporting he accidentally received top secret war plans from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth after he was included in a group chat on the encrypted messaging platform Signal.
Okay, here's the truth. These were not top secret war plans. This was seemingly an informal check-in with people who seemed to be friendly, by the way, after the planning had already been done. It's battle plans versus beer talk. In other words, you have a meeting, let's say, at the Pentagon. Okay, great. We're going to set a battle plan. Go. Hey, you guys want to go out for a couple of beers afterwards, or you want to go grab lunch? And then you talk about it contextually, which we all do.
Yeah.
It's just we live in an era where everything is written down and people want to weaponize something against you. Again, Waltz made a huge mistake, huge screw up, but these were not top secret battle plans. And the journalist in question, Goldberg, has provided no proof whatsoever that there was anything top secret discussed. And if there happened to be, he would release it because he has no conscience or moral integrity. This is the guy who ran with stories of Donald Trump saying losers and suckers about our military. Right? He's actually been involved in the fabrication of stories to try and damage his administration. If he had anything, he would have used it.
Right. And so the only pushback that we have right now regarding this is from Tulsi Gabbard this morning. Not just the only pushback, but on the record before this committee, she's DNI. She said no classified information was shared in that chat. So it's up to Goldberg now, I guess, to show some proof. And I don't know if he'd get in trouble for doing that.
Well, and Waltz did say, maybe there was some classified information that was shared to try and keep the story from getting out. That seems like he's covering his own rear, and that doesn't reflect well upon him. No. I think he should be fired.
Yeah, he's a national security advisor?
Yes.
I'd nationally advise that he not do that anymore.
Yes.
Nothing related to security.
Yeah, let me advise you on the security of your job. It's gone! Bye-bye! Here's another claim that's making the rounds out there, all references available, that the leaked chats show some discord among the ranks over there at the Trump administration.
In this chat, there was a moment where J.D. Vance questioned
First off, pause for a second.
Judgment.
It's very hard to take a journalist seriously who looks like that chick from Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah. No! But let's continue with the clip.
In this chat, there was a moment where J.D. Vance questioned POTUS's judgment about this Houthi bombing. And then he had to be talked back and ended up, agreeing, and they were all on side. But I think it's a window into, there is going to be at some point, presumably, some actual opposition to the president and the way it's going on, not just foreign policy, but what's happening with the economy, tariffs, Canada.
Okay, so discord among the Trump administration. Okay, here's the truth. It shows the opposite of that, actually. It shows that these people are actually having healthy discussions, some slight disagreements, and they're comfortable enough to voice their disagreements. I would recommend that you go and read them. This is actually the kind of leadership that I would like to see. Yeah. And it also gave us this banger of a conversation between Hegseth and Vance, where Vance said, if you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. And then Hegseth saying to Vance, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. Good. They're the people they claim to be. They loathe Europe. I loathe Europe.
Yeah.
They're just like me.
That right there makes it seem like they wanted that to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're like, oh, I want to say this so bad, but
I can't.
if only we had somebody else say it for us.
Yeah, like, maybe these Europeans have a false sense of confidence, especially if Germany knew how we felt about them. And Germany's like, what? Oh, 9! Worked
What
like
did
a
you say
charm.
about me?
What? I thought we were friends.
It also made it seem like he's one of the most pro, like, America first people out there, where he's like, hey, 3% of our shipping goes through there. What do we care about this? It's really Europe's problem. If we do it, we got to get something out of it.
Right.
Like, hey, pay for it. This is going to cost us men and material potentially. So
It does seem like an indirect way to tell Europe, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Ungrateful bastards.
It's like
We have to do
accidentally,
this.
like you have a gift receipt, but accidentally including the real receipt when you buy an expensive gift.
Oh,
like,
no, how'd that get in there?
How did that get in there?
man.
Oh, what was that? What was that Pete got you? It was only 200. Oh, but it's not a competition.
I'm such an airhead.
So the questions, look, why was any of this communicated over a commercial app? Well, okay, because it's encrypted, right? That's a reason. And because I would bet that they're mistrustful of people who may have access to the official government channels. I get it, especially considering the leaks of the first administration. And when we're talking about the channels that exist and when we're talking about the safeguards that exist as far as protecting information and how it should be treated, the law isn't applied equally. See Hillary Clinton, by the way, who tweeted out, who posted on X, are you kidding me? No, are you kidding me, you crazy bitch?
The audacity.
Really? You feel the right to come in here. So if it's not applied equally, it just means that it can be weaponized. I'm willing to bet they were afraid of their private conversations being weaponized, and so they took it to an app. Makes sense. Not saying that it means it's right. And then the screw up is why Goldberg added. How does that happen? Just an accident?
Well, there's some information about this that Goldberg was being added by the administration, I think is what it is. So there's something right here. So it appears his number was added to a contact card by one of the Trump administration staffers. They say that Goldberg really hasn't had any coordination or conversations with Waltz or anything like that. So they don't have any kind of history together. But going back to the Signal app, you had Ratcliffe, the director or the CIA head, is basically saying, hey, this Signal app is pre-installed on my machine. Like, and many other, almost, if not all of the officers, like it's everywhere.
Well, it is an app where people buy cocaine. So
no, well,
sure it does that. I'm sure it's
make a
useful in that
signal
way
for it,
too.
right?
Yeah.
So
It is.
it does
I don't
seem
know.
like this was, and that's not whataboutism. That's just saying like, hey, this isn't like the Trump administration decided to move to Signal. This seems like Signal was a part of the administrative process, like people in the administration using it to coordinate and talk to other people within the administration, whatever.
Guarantee you Donald Trump didn't order Signal. He was absolutely confounded that his son could turn on the laptop. You turned it on so fast.
Wow.
Whoa, you're a wizard. Same thing here.
I'll give you the signal.
We're a Signal family in this household. No Telegram, no WhatsApp. It's Signal or bust. No. It's clearly something like it makes sense. They're using an encrypted app. What's going on, Gerald? I hear you.
No. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
Good.
The other thing, too, is Waltz. All right. If he did add Goldberg, whoever added Goldberg. Look, if Goldberg had classified information that would be damning in this administration, you know that you would have heard of it. This is the guy who was at the center of the suckers and losers story. Remember, he called our military suckers and losers. The Vanessa Gillen story where she said that Trump said it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican. No, like
I would
this guy has no integrity.
if it cost $60,000 to bury a Mexican.
The Mexicans would be surprised.
They would too. Yes.
They'd have to spend time converting the currency.
like 600,000
Well, if the Mexicans
pesos.
are doing it, it's like $100.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is there anything new that?
No. That
all
was
right.
just the update so far. But we'll see if anything else comes from the hearing. This wasn't about this, by the way. They just happen to have these people in front of them today.
So you guys can comment below your thoughts if you think that Waltz needs to be fired. I think that this is a mistake that could be handled well. Waltz is probably going to have to be laid off. And if they don't, then it's going to snowball into a bigger.
Somebody's got to take the fall for it. I'm sorry.
It is a mistake.
It's going to haunt you for the next 4 years. I mean, we got to think about that. We're just now 2 months in.
Yeah.
That's going to haunt you if you don't fire him.
And don't be careless out there. Just really be careful. All right. Because they're always watching. Who's they?
Al Jazeera.
Let's guess. Hey, if you're still watching, you can click my face or this box next to me, which may bring you to another video, or it may. It's going to bring you to another video. It'll play another video. But if you like this, it'll be one that you like. And if you didn't like this, you know everyone deserves a second chance.